Welcome to the fourth episode of Educating for Life, Catholic Social Justice. Today we welcome Sister Maureen of the Sisters of St. Francis in Dubuque, as she tells us about the Sister Water Project. Thank you for joining us as we explore Catholic social teaching for teachers and enjoy the conversation.
First of all, I know we have Kelly joining us today, but we do have people that make use of our program, our monthly programs through the video. So I know that this will reach them as well. We've invited Sister Maureen Lynch of the Dubuque Franciscans to join us to talk about their work with Sister Water Project. I'm pretty excited. Even she's kind of whetted both Patrick's and my appetite as we got on and practiced a little bit, because I already have a few questions, but I didn't want to use them up before we got started, sister. So I want to start with that introduction. And Patrick, I'm gonna throw this at you first, just a little bit to give some context generally, as you have other times with our whole Catholic school, Catholic social teaching principles and what we've been doing.
Sure thing. So good to be with you all today. And Josephine is also excited to be here. So I'm going to share my screen and to just extend that kind of initial welcome to everyone. And we have these dates for our future gatherings on the calendar, and just want to call that to mind, as well as recall that back in August, when we had our annual in-service, we unpacked the 7 principles of Catholic social teaching and used this image of the seamless garment that has always been woven as kind of an image to help us unpack. And we promised at that time that we would continue the conversation. And this is one of the ways that we're doing that through this monthly series. And we're so excited to have Sister Maureen with us to share her experience with the Sister Water Project and as a member of the Sisters of St. Francis in Dubuque. So with that, Sister Maureen, I will hand the mic over to you.
So you have to stop. Okay, yep.
Okay. It always works in the practice.
There you go. I think that, yeah,
Okay.
that's what you did.
So anyway, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And since we're a small group, feel free to jump in anytime if you have a question. I thought it would be fun to start the slideshow off with well number 472, since it was just finished in December. And sometimes we have different groups that raise money through like Lenten almsgiving or a school project that raised money to sponsor a well, and this well happened to have been sponsored by the Humility Sisters, who are located in Davenport, and they tend to do one every month. So this is what the well looks like when it's finished. And this is what that particular water supply looked like before they started the well. So you can see that it's not something you would particularly want to drink or bathe in. So water kind of links us to our neighbor in a way that's more profound and complex than any others. And this picture shows a number of the women in Tanzania and how the whole community gathers around this project, and they put in a request to Safe Water for Life and Dignity and say, we would like a well. And a few years back, we asked, how many requests do you have on your desk? And they had over 300. And it seems like the more wells we do, the more people find out about it and the more requests. So we haven't gotten that request level down to 0 yet. So one thing we like to think about is how we use water in our daily lives. And says each person needs about 13 gallons of water per day. However, a lot of people use much more than that. And the average person in the US uses 65 to 100 gallons of water a day. And taking a bath would probably take about 70 gallons, or a 5-minute shower might take 10 to 25 gallons. And before 1992, when they put in the low flush toilets, it took 3.5 to 7 gallons to flush your toilet. And now new toilets that are made have to flush with 1.6 gallons or less. So that's one way people have learned to conserve water. And this kind of shows how your basic household uses water. And you can see about 12% of the water in our country is lost due to leaks that people haven't repaired. So some of those ways that we could learn to conserve water are important to look at. Other ways that we use water, like a t-shirt, takes about 713 gallons of water to make a t-shirt. By the time you figure growing the cotton and everything involved in it. So how much you think it would take for a pair of jeans?
Yeah, lots.
And lots comes out to 2,600 gallons of water. You were absolutely right, lots. And other foods. So 3 ounces of chicken takes about 98 gallons of water. 3 ounces of beef takes about 347 gallons of water. So if you're using this with a classroom, you can have the students guess these amounts as you go along, and it makes it a little more interesting. 1 egg takes about 44 gallons of water. So in Africa, in the sub-Saharan desert, they use about 2 to 5 gallons of water a day. So they have to survive on a lot less. And it says more than 820,000 people die each year because of water-related illnesses. And 1 in 5 children lack access to basic drinking water. So that's another statistic that sometimes they use with classrooms, and they have 5 people stand there and then pull one out, wouldn't have enough water to drink. And every 21 seconds, a child dies from a water-related illness. In Africa, there's about 314 million people that don't have access to safe drinking water. So in 2020, Iowa had 3.18 million people. So that's like 100 times more people than the whole state of Iowa are people in Africa that don't have safe water to drink. And some people spend up to 6 hours a day going back and forth to the water hole to get water. And sometimes they walk an average of 3.7 miles a day to collect that water. So the shortage of water is a global issue that's important all over the world. And you might be wondering, why did we choose Tanzania and Honduras? And it's because of relationships. We had a sister from our community that worked in Tanzania, and she saw the need, and she met these organizations that were working on it. And the same thing with our sisters working in Honduras, because sometimes you can get requests from people on the internet and you have no idea if it's a legitimate request or not. But in both of these countries, we actually know the people that are doing the projects, and we meet with them. And so we have a good amount of confidence, that all the money is going where it's supposed to go. So who saw the movie on the website already?
Yeah. I did.
Okay.
Yep.
So two out of 3. But anyway, I'll just go through this quickly because it's on the video. But we started in 2006, and we kind of started with seeing this need for water. And we started out with something like an alternative gift market for people to donate for water. And we thought, oh, maybe we could raise $42,000 and we could put in some sim tanks in Africa and send some volunteers to Honduras to help with the project. Well, we far surpassed those goals. And sometimes from little things of little children doing lemonade stands to kolache sales at a parish in Cedar Rapids to all sorts of ways that people have found creative ways to raise money for the project. So by April 2007, we had the 9 sim tanks funded and built in Tanzania, and we sent 30 volunteers to Honduras for a project. So donations have continued to pour in, enabling additional projects. So I think altogether, since we started, we've raised over $3.5 million. So we've been able to do a lot of different projects.
Sister, how much does putting a specific well in cost?
If we were to do one well in a month, it would cost $5,500.
Wow, very cost efficient.
So if right now we're doing 8 wells a month, so that price per well comes down a little bit, but there are some fees that you have to pay every month no matter what. So you can totally be safe with 5,500, but it comes a well is actually $5,146, I think. Don't quote me on that one, but it's right around there.
Mm-hmm. Can I
And
ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when you talk about your teams, and so when I watch the movie, and like I know Sister Kathy Knipper and Sister Nancy Miller and Sister Virginia, actually, but how do the team seems to be made up of a lot of associates as well. Is that so?
that is so, and it's also made out of just people from the general public. Like the Honduras team this year, when I get to the Honduras picture, I can tell you a little bit about some of those folks. But in Tanzania, it's the people that go on a trip recruit other people for the next year. They tell them about it. So it's not necessarily a sister or an associate, but someone who wants to have that experience. And the people that go on the trips have to raise all their own money for the cost of the trip. Sister Water doesn't use any of our money for like administration and trips like that. The sisters, like if we have to send thank you notes and stamps and everything, we take that out of a separate fund and not what's donated to Sister Water.
Okay.
But we are working on getting a little more green. So if people who donate give us an email, we try to send an email thank you. Except for the development office sends them their tax receipt, but our thank you notes, we'd like to do like that when possible.
Sure.
So this picture is just, so stark about the different traditional wells that people were using before they got a Sister Water Project well. And you can see that there's danger of people falling in when it's slippery and wet, and there's a lot of diarrhea and diseases that are caused from using this water, and children that don't get to go to school because they're spending too much time going back and forth for water. So Sister Water coordinates with the villagers to make the well, and every village has a local water committee, and those are in charge of making sure the well stays working after it is finished. And you can see that ring that they're using. Each ring is about a meter long, which is a little over a yardstick. And they have to do 5 to 9 of those deep in order to get to the water source. And one of the ways they kind of find a place where there might be water underneath is by looking at where there are green spots. and that helps them know where to dig. But they kind of do a study of the area to know the safest place. So the actual person that jumps down in there and pulls the dirt out is a hired person because of liability, but the people that help roll the rings and do the other work are all people from the village. And you can see, maybe you can't see, but there is a man inside that hole, sending out buckets of the slush. And the ring itself helps filter the water so that it cleans the water, so they don't have, and it's, they don't have to do a lot of chlorine and different things like that for the water to be clean. And you can see it's an old-fashioned kind of hand pump that they're installing there. So what is it, the people that go to Tanzania, what do they do when they get there? Well, they meet with the leaders from Safe Water for Life and Dignity. They talk about what are the needs going forward. They visit well sites that were already finished. And every time they've gone, all the wells are still in operation. And because the system is so simple, usually when something goes wrong, they can contact Safe Water for Life and Dignity, and the parts are very cheap and very accessible that they might need to fix it. So it's not like a huge complicated system. And here's the 10 people that went last year to Tanzania. And Brian Gilligan and Emily Weiberger are the ones that coordinate the trips now, so that they go each year with the people. They missed years because of COVID, but the last 3 years they've gone, and the team usually fills up. They can take I think they had 14 signed up for this year, but somebody had to back out, so they'll have 13 going. And this just shows how we celebrate every single well that gets dug. So people that sponsor a well will get a picture of the actual celebration when the well was finished and a picture of the water hole that people were using beforehand. Now, this is a story that they like to tell. I don't know all the details, but if you can see this young girl in the green dress, the team that went down met her, that she wasn't in school, but she was getting water for her family. And 2 years later, they met the same girl when they went back to check on that well. And there she is wearing a school uniform and so proud that she got to go to school. So that's one of the things that makes it a joy to support this project. So in 2024, we were able to, with Safe Water for Life and Dignity, to build 74 wells in Tanzania. And that serves a total of 50,591 people. But it's more meaningful than those numbers is the one girl at a time whose story that you hear about. And last year, the team was able to visit 36 different well sites of completed wells that were all in good working order. A few that they tried to get to, the roads were too muddy, so they didn't make it to every place on their list, but they visit a lot of wells every year. So Honduras is a whole different system. In Honduras, people don't live close together like in Tanzania. So they might live very far away from the water source and far away from each other. So to have a public site to go to get water doesn't work. So their projects are costing more money and taking a lot more time and using collaboration of more groups. But in Honduras, we were able to complete 8 projects that served 7,019 people in 2024. And we sent a service team to Honduras July 22nd to August 1st with 13 people. And when the first day they went out to work, over 100 Hondurans showed up to help them with the digging. So you can see a little picture of that. But the trip, the people that went on the trip said what meant so much to them was not, they thought that they were going just to work, but then they realized the relationships that they built and how powerful that was with the people. So they were able to go visit a site that hadn't been started yet and visit those community members. They were able to go to a different village and see the celebration that it was completed and to be in the middle of this project. But they also had a day where they just spent the day baking bread with the women. And the women showed them how to bake bread with their wood burning fire. And they also had a day where they went out to learn about how they grow their gardens there. So it was an exchange more than just, we're coming to just help you. And this is our team that went down there. And Sister Pat was the coordinator, and she went down early, so she's not in the picture. This is in front of our mother house. But there's 2 associates on the team, and their grandson is with them. A nephew of one of our sisters is there, a college student, a teacher, a psychologist, so all sorts of people. And we had at least 2 people that were native Spanish speakers, in addition to Sister Pat, who knew Spanish, that could help translating on this trip. So that was an extra special thing. But the team really built strong relationships with each other and have already called a reunion of the team afterwards. And sometimes the team also comes back to the convent to tell the story of their trip, and the sisters always appreciate that. So altogether, we've supported over 477 well projects in Tanzania, with approximately 546,267 people being served. And the well pictured there was just one that happened to serve 800 people. So the wells are usually anywhere from 300 to 1,000 people that they serve. And some of them are next to schools, and then that gives a double help.
Mhm.
So January 17th to the 26th, our new team will go, and they will have their send-off mass tomorrow, which you can watch on our website. If you go up to osfdbq.org, and up at the top, there'll be a little YouTube button that you can click on, and it'll be live streamed, or you can watch it later. And we hope to complete our 500th well in Tanzania in March. And one thing about March is that's when it's officially World Water Day. So we thought it was kind of nice that the 500th well and World Water Day would happen at the same time. So we're hoping to celebrate that a little. We should be completing our 50th water project in Honduras sometime this year too. And that's served about 39,786 people. And you can see here that one of the water tanks, how they painted our Sisters of St. Francis logo on it. And also you can see the children all had flags when the team came down with our St. Francis logo on the top and the Honduran flag underneath. And they waved them all at the folks when they came. So they felt very welcomed. So in Honduras, they partner with the committees, and World Vision that works with this celebrated 50 years in Honduras last year. And one of the great things about World Vision is they don't just do water, but they work with trying to promote women leadership, and not just in secretarial roles, but in other roles in the committee. And they do a lot of work like with sustainable agriculture and different kinds of projects with the people in addition to the well. So the team stays for like 6 months after the well is completed, doing other things with the village. So they have a good sense that the system is still working and up. Now we're going to show you a few pictures to show how complicated it is. There you can see the water pipes going around the edges, above the ground. Sometimes they have to bend it to go around a tree. One village, it took over 23 years to finish the project, and the water source was 11 miles away. And when we first started doing projects in Honduras, we got them that they were all downhill from the water source. So gravity could bring the water down. But even with gravity bringing the water down, they would have to put things in between with the pipes to make sure the pressure wasn't so great that the pipes would break. So they'd have to put little divisions. But now some of the projects are uphill from the water source. And then it's more complicated to come up with some kind of solar or electrical pumping system to get the water to the people. So some of those projects take a little longer. Also in Honduras, a few times we've had to redo water projects that we did, and then a hurricane came along and knocked it out. So it can be a slow process sometimes.
Sister, like when you have a big project like that, is it just the village and like the sisters and then the other World Vision? Does the government help at all, or are they so dysfunctional it's just not an option?
They do, usually the government help that they get is from the local municipality. And sometimes they don't start the project unless they have all the money needed for the project pledged. And sometimes they've had the case where the local municipality pledged and then didn't come through with the money and they had to look someplace else. But quite a few times the local city, well, it's not really a city, but a bunch of villages come, they do support the project more than at the national level.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a number of other organizations that they rely on to support the water projects. So sometimes there's 5 or 6 groups that are all giving towards that. I love this picture because when they always say it takes a village, and here's they're pouring the cement for the water tank, and so that blue bucket is the cement, and they're passing it from person to person to put it on top. And at the end, the top is like a cement top. They put the altar up there, and the priest said mass from on top of the water tank to celebrate it when they finished it. So once we finish a water project, they find out that there's much less diarrhea and parasites and less problems with health issues. So our mission as Sisters and Associates is to live the gospel values and to provide access to clean water is one way that we're able to do that. And this is the celebration of the opening of the tap in one of the village in Consolacion, Honduras. So I'd like to open it up if anyone has any questions.
Did I hear you correctly? So when the team that leaves on Friday, how long will they be gone?
They
commitment.
leave on the 17th and come back on the 26th. And
Oh,
one of their flights is 13 hours long.
yeah,
So they fly to Dubai
Mm.
and spend the night there, and then they catch another plane and they stay in Dubai again on the way back. And they have to do a number of things to get ready to go. They have to get a visa and they have to get some different kinds of shots and things like that. So, and we always do an orientation with the people, both on cultural sensitivity and on the Sister Water Project and the needs for any group that either goes to Tanzania or Honduras.
So you like have an internal team on your, at the mother house that sort of serves as the backbone of the
Yeah,
organization?
yeah, we have a Sister Water Project committee, and we
Okay.
have our communications director, and then we have some sisters and some associates and a few other folks that went on trips before that wanted to get involved in the committee. And we meet about 10 times a year. And we also have a speakers bureau, so if a parish or somebody wants somebody to speak, they can contact that group to have somebody come and speak. But you asked about Honduras, the other groups. One of the other groups that helps is the Water Engineers for the Americas. And that sometimes World Vision, no matter who started the project, they come along and recheck all of the studies that were done. Sometimes it takes the village so long to raise the money that by the time they're done, the study is no longer accurate. It has to be redone, and sometimes they have to get the prices have gone up on the pipes and everything, and then they have to get an additional source. So it's a long project, but it's so powerful to hear the stories. Here you can see what they use when they have a celebration in Honduras. They have a woman who used to carry the jug of water a long ways to her home, smashes it to the ground to show that now that they will have water at their houses in a special ceremony whenever they celebrate a new water system in Honduras. And it's kind of powerful to witness.
Because Honduras is set up differently, do that cost, looks like it costs different, more. It looks like it costs more than the ring system that you have in Tanzania. Is that true if I said that?
Yeah, but when we first had sim tanks in Tanzania, that was a rain system. But the system in Tanzania now is searching for water underground.
Mhm.
But yes, the projects in Honduras are more complicated and take longer and cost more. But the people there need water also,
Mhm.
even though it's not convenient.
I'm curious
Any,
about
yes.
I'm curious about what has been kind of the most surprising joy of this ministry, or what gives you hope in the experiences from this ministry.
Oh, one of the joys is when like one of the women in Honduras, when they finished that project after 23 years, she wrote a song in Spanish of thanks and emailed us a recording of it. And also um the stories that people tell about their villages. I haven't been on one of the water teams myself, but I was in Honduras helping out when they came, and I got to take one of the teams to visit the prison and see the ministry that the sisters were doing there, and uh, kind of show them around. But I think the biggest, it's a joy also to see how many people really want to support Sister Water, that you don't even have to work that hard sometimes, that when you just think that back in 2020, then we didn't think we would have enough to do the 3 wells that we wanted to do, that the money wasn't coming in, and now here we are doing 8 wells every month. And when you get that letter back telling about the people in that village, that's always a joy. But it's always a joy too to see the great generosity of people that just hear about the project and send in their donations.
I have to say that I've watched the sort of the video. I know on your website you have 2 videos, one with the construction, which is interesting, but you know, that's not for me. But the other one is, you know, where you guys are introducing the whole history in the project. And I know this isn't a question, I just wanted to share, like, every time I watch that, I just get so touched at the very beginning when the connection is made to the baptismal water. I mean, it just connects that whole huge circle that we as Catholics, you know, engage in. And I don't think, you know, I think I viewed that just in anticipation of this, and then finding the video when we first talked about your group. I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times, and I just can't help but at just be drawn into this story because of our sacramental life. And so, you know, I did send that video out to everyone. We have a principal meeting on Thursday, so I'll be checking to see who's using it, because I just feel that your story is so powerful sacramentally.
It's a fun story, because when our website used to be aligned differently, and whenever you went to the YouTube, it automatically started playing that video before you could go to any of the other videos. And one of our sisters always watched it through the whole 13 minutes or whatever, every time she went on before she watched anything else. But also there was a story just a couple months ago of 2 young girls talking about why do they call it Sister Water? And they were 2 young girls in Tanzania, and one of them said, "Well, because water is our sister, and we need it to live."
Nice.
And then some people in the past have thought it was called Sister Water Project because it was started by the Sisters of St. Francis. But truly, the name Sister Water Project came from the Canticle of Creation that St. Francis wrote, where Francis gives thanks for all the different aspects of creation, including Sister Water. And that's how we named it.
Mm. Well, it's so well done. It's just beautiful. So appreciate very much you sharing it.
One thing that occurred to me as a result of Lynn's question and your answer is, you know, you've been thinking about um in like stewardship of creation for a long time with this project. And then with the publication of Laudato Si in 2015, Pope Francis's encyclical on our care and our relationship to creation, how did that encyclical land with you in a particular sort of way in light of this experience of Sister Water Project? Could you speak to the how those two speak to one another?
Well, not just with this water project, but as a congregation, we can identify with why the Pope chose Francis for his name, and why the Pope wanted to do things on the environment. And we have a huge document that tells the ways we're trying to respond to the Laudato Si 7-year action plan. And we've been active on our property of setting up a prairie that's an area that will be under it's under conservatorship think that's the word, anyway, that no one can build anything on it and it will always be naturally preserved. And then we've joined this land justice project. That's a 2-year study that we have a committee working on that's looking at ways that we can respond to the fact that some of the land that we now are living on was owned by or was occupied by other people and taken away unfairly. And so we contracted this woman known as Earth Mama, Joyce Rose, and she wrote a song instead of just putting up a sign that says our land acknowledgement. She wrote a song where in the middle of the song there's a spoken part where we mention all the groups that we know of that occupied this land before us. And we had a 2-day workshop with the whole congregation talking about what we can do for reparation and what we can do to not just care for the earth, but to respond to needs of Native peoples that might have originally occupied this land. So it's an ongoing process that we're working on. And then we have a green team that works at the mother house to try to get us better at recycling and things like that. So the Laudato Si is very significant for our congregation. I
Well,
guess I didn't answer specifically about Sister Water, but it's pretty obvious the connection there too.
well, I think you just like gave us a whole new group to contact at your mother house for another whole topic to discuss.
Oh
That's so,
yeah, the land justice groups are very interesting, and they're working. They were started by a group that was originally called Nuns and Nones,
mhm.
and people that had a spirituality but were not necessarily tied to a specific church, and then people who were Catholic sisters working together to work on social justice issues. So there's a number of congregations, the presentations and the BVMs and the Franciscans were all involved in the land justice project. And so we always looking for ways to collaborate with each other
Mhm.
on care for the earth.
Well, I don't want to rush anyone's thinking, but sure appreciate just the presentation itself. I look at this and I'm so excited, real seriously, to have our principal meeting on Thursday. I don't say that about principal meetings very often to be excited. But to follow up with this, because I think that there's a lot of information, just not only for teachers, but this can be translated really nicely for the classroom and I see one of our teachers nodding her head. That I think is going to be very, very useful for us. So I appreciate very much you going over it with us and sharing it with us, and actually sharing with us some other groups that we might be able to talk to besides what you just spoke about, and also Lila May as a possibility. So Patrick, I'm gonna hand this back to you. Looks like you have a sleeping child that we have we
And will you send me a link for the the recording also?
absolutely, absolutely, yep. Patrick usually cleans up, he does a little introduction. He does all the fancy schmancy stuff for us, but yes, we
So,
will send it as soon as it's ready.
so you'll take out all the uhs and ahs and
I am not quite that fancy schmancy.
So I know you have a sleeping child there, so I don't wanna, but can you lead us into, and Sister too can share a little bit about our art project that we have.
Yes. Yep. And as the third child, maybe not all third children are like this, but Josephine will sleep through almost anything. She came into the world, a noisy world. Um, Sister Maureen, could you, share a bit about the art image that we're going to reflect on in prayer together?
Certainly. So, all the sisters have a group called associates that are people who want to live the Franciscan values, and they can be Catholic or non-Catholic. They can be men or women, but who feel attracted to the charism and the values of St. Francis. And one of our associates created this art piece that's made out of glass that's now in our retreat house, Shalom. And someone saw it and they wanted to use it for a calendar. So this calendar was created by the Basilica of St. Francis in Assisi. And it's a calendar on the Canticle of Creation, and each month is on a different part of it. And so this shows the month that she created, and it shows Saint Francis and Saint Clare, but you can see the water between them and the fish. That's why I thought it was a good thing. And you can see Brother Sun and Sister Moon and other aspects of creation, and you can see kind of that relationship between Francis and Clare and the caring for creation. So that's why that's a special image for us. But the whole calendar has different pictures of Franciscan art. So it was kind of a special honor that one of our associates' pieces of art got chosen for that.
Mm.
Thank you for sharing that. I am going to share my screen and we'll have that art image up. Can you all see that now?
Yes.
And we have the
I
canticle.
hope we don't have to be able to see well enough to read that.
Yeah, Patrick,
Print.
you have to read that.
Yep, only I do. So I'll read the Canticle of Creation, and I'll read it through once, pause briefly, and then read it through a second time. And if there's something that strikes you about the canticle itself or the art image in this moment of prayer, we'll just have space for people to share that and see where things go. O Most High, all-powerful, good Lord God, to you belong praise, glory, honor, and all blessing. Be praised, my Lord, for all your creation, and especially for our brother Sun, who brings us the day and the light. He is strong and shines magnificently. O Lord, we think of you when we look at him. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Moon, and for the stars which you have set shining and lovely in the heavens. Be praised, my Lord, for our brothers wind and air, and every kind of weather by which you, Lord, uphold life in all your creatures. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Water, who is very useful to us, and humble and precious and pure. Be praised, my Lord, for Brother Fire, through whom you give us light in the darkness. He is bright and lively and strong. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Earth, our Mother, who nourishes us and sustains us, bringing forth fruits and vegetables of many kinds, and flowers of many colors. Be praised, my Lord, for those who forgive for love of you, and for those who bear sickness and weakness in peace and patience. You will grant them a crown. Be praised, my Lord, for our sister Death, whom we must all face. I praise and bless you, Lord, and I give thanks to you, and I will serve you in all humility. O Most High, all-powerful, good Lord God, to you belong praise, glory, honor, and all blessing. Be praised, my Lord, for all your creation, and especially for our brother Sun, who brings us the day and the light. He is strong and shines magnificently. O Lord, we think of you when we look at him. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Moon, and for the stars which you have set shining and lovely in the heavens. Be praised, my Lord, for our brothers, wind and air, and every kind of weather by which you, Lord, uphold life in all your creatures. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Water, who is very useful to us, and humble and precious and pure. Be praised, my Lord, for Brother Fire, through whom you give us light in the darkness. He is bright and lively and strong. Be praised, my Lord, for Sister Earth, our mother who nourishes us and sustains us, bringing forth fruits and vegetables of many kinds and flowers of many colors. Be praised, my Lord, for those who forgive for love of you, and for those who bear sickness and weakness in peace and patience. You will grant them a crown. Be praised, my Lord, for our sister Death, whom we must all face. I praise and bless you, Lord, and I give thanks to you, and I will serve you in all humility.
I know that, um, Patrick, as we do this prayer piece, it's hard for me to let go all the time as a teacher to, I hear a phrase and, oh, we should do this, we should do that. But I just noticed I noticed it the first time you read through and the second time that when you got to the phrase about water, it's like that was in bold letters. I mean, as you read it, it just hit my brain that way. And the reason, I mean, again, I'm a teacher, so I can't help it. The reason I think is because we've been given a concrete example of it isn't just words, right? It isn't just, where the concreteness of it isn't as so much scripture, it's hard to make that real for our kiddos. And so I heard those words more than any other in this entire canticle when you got to those because of what Sister Water Project has shared with us. And I think, okay, let's take the next phrase and what are we gonna do? Or how can we involve our own kids more in Sister Water Project so that that does that for them? So it's just a powerful reminder to me of action over just, that's something we're working on, sister, which is it's easy for us, all of us, to maybe write out a check, maybe, or to give distance to the actual work and how to give our kids a real immersed experience. And so I think that your story and the stories of Sister Water Project have been a great example for us as teachers that we have to make it real. Because that just was burned in my brain as Patrick read that. So also, I love the glass. I love that picture was that painted on glass? It's not
I
stained.
think so.
Yeah.
I'm not absolutely positive how it's done. I'd have to look that up someplace.
I thought about how fragile it is, probably because
It's
it's on glass
but it's thick.
mm-hmm.
When you look at it, it's thick, but yeah.
And transparent. I mean, I think
Uh-huh.
the messages in the medium itself that are interesting to me. And if it's over there at Shalom, that's not so far. We might be someday I may be able to go see that.
Definitely. I think when I listened to the reading of the canticle, I couldn't help but think of our associates in Central America. I was just in El Salvador in December and we commissioned 10 new associates, but each country, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, each talked about what are the environmental issues in their country and what they're doing as actions to improve the environment. And one of the associates even has a sustainable agriculture farm and took us on a tour and showed us how they do everything there. And so when I listened to that canticle, I was just thinking of them and how much that whole canticle is a witness of how to live Laudato Si. If you have that attitude about everything in creation, you can't help but be respectful of the needs of creation.
As I was reading it, I was thinking that it would be nice to have this printed out and in our home somewhere here for our kids to encounter it, and for me to be reminded of it too. But then I was thinking about, well, how can each of kind of the, oh yes, that's you. How can each of the stanzas be concretized for the kids? And I was thinking, well, we have a garden, and so there's some vegetables coming out of there, and um, but it would be interesting to sort of put this prayer, um, bring it into family life in a kind of intentional and ongoing way, and just see what emerges, especially from the imaginations of children who can go to places where um, dull adult minds can't.
There you go,
And
Director of Evangelization. See, there's a little project for you.
and music is also a thing that moves people a lot. And there is a song in the Missalette that goes to these words that's kind of nice to use sometimes too.
Yes. Oh, how does it begin?
The heavens are telling
And
the
the
glory of
glory
God.
of God.
Right? Is that the one you're
There it
thinking,
is.
sister?
Yes. I love that
And
song.
all creation.
Shouting
Shouting
for
for
joy.
joy.
Yes.
Come dance in the forest.
It's
In
gonna
the
play in the
field.
field and
And
sing,
sing
sing to the
to the
glory of our
the
God.
Lord.
Yep, it's a good one. We see
Zoom
now.
does not lend itself to more than one person singing at a time.
Or sometimes it helps because it covers.
Yes.
I was thinking, Patrick, I mean, I just love that thought as well, but one of the wouldn't it, and again, we are working to improve ourselves in our system, in our education, to make sure we're always integrating gospel values no matter what we teach. And I thought with you too, that a nice poster of the canticle, why wouldn't that show up in every single, seriously, science teacher's classroom? Like as an anchor chart, as a big chart, or in even social studies, of course, because so many of these things interact. And I can't think of a single teacher in high school that, and of course in elementary, that elements of that canticle can be just pulled aside and go and talked about in a very deep way from the science piece, right? But like you were saying, the sustainable farm piece. I just signed some kids up in high school for sustainable farming. And of course, they're at the community college, so they won't pray. But if they were in our schools, this would be perfect. And that would really like thrill me down to my bones if I were to walk into a classroom and see this canticle in a classroom.
Well, I know the U.S. Bishop, and we're coming on the 10th anniversary of Laudato Si, and when the bishops gathered in the fall, they sort of asked, well, what should we do? We haven't done a lot in the last 10 years. Let's do something now. Um, so they're looking for things to do. So maybe an idea will sprout here, Lynn, in schools locally that may inspire others.
Okay,
There's your thing to do.
I know, well, yeah, I've added it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have, it wasn't in our diocese, but Living History Farms in Des Moines,
Yep.
John Paul II came to Iowa. I
Mhm.
know a theologian who says that visit was the beginning of environmental theology. It sort of had not, I mean, we have Francis and we have others, but in the modern era, a pope coming to Iowa talking about creation um, and its value was sort of mm, a seminal moment in a way in our modern times.
Well, I think after today's session, I'll be looking at the canticle a little bit differently. And yeah, for Kelly and our teachers who look at this later online is there'll be an opportunity to see this again.
Yes.
Another fashion.
Yes.
Well, does anybody else have any other thoughts on the prayer, the canticle, the art image, or any other closing thoughts today as our conversation winds down?
I just wanted to say, I thought that was all wonderful. I'm gonna take it back to the 8th grade and hopefully, get something started. But I'm sure I can show any of the videos and grab their attention. So, but I'm on my way to a basketball game right now, so I'm gonna sign off.
Yep.
But thank you. I've got everything written down. I'm very excited about it.
Right. And I know,
Thank you for coming.
Yes, yes. Very interesting. That is such great work. And I know the kids would be excited about it too. And with Catholic Schools Week coming up, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna pick a project. And I think this is the one that Mrs. Rowling wanted us to get interested in. So that is great.
yep, thanks so much. And
Thank
I know, sister, you want to talk about this last slide, but Kelly Bush, who started with us, but she also had a commitment. She has a message for you in the text that you might not have been able to see since you were presenting. And she says, "This is wonderful to learn about. I thank you so much." And so she will come back to the recorded version because she did have another commitment as well. But I wanted to make sure that you saw that comment from her.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm off to a basketball game at St. Joe's. So
Okay, we hope we win.
yes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So the closing slide just, it has my cell phone number, which is the best way to reach me. And I'm the liaison for the leadership team through 2026, June of 2026. We started a new leadership team, but you can also go to our website, and you've already seen the information there about the water project. So the best way to support is through your prayers, through education and awareness, both about care for water as a resource in our country and awareness about the need for clean water for people across the world. And also, we can always use your help with raising funds in your community to help with the water project. So
Lovely.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, sister. This, I'm so appreciative of this story. It's been very enlightening for me. So I thank you for your time.